Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, across the country, around the world. Welcome back to Planet Coaster and what I have dubbed Park Buena Vista, because it runs along Buena Vista Street, across the street from the Disney Studios. Or, well, it would have if things had worked out that way. In this episode, we continue with the Carnival section, the circus section, because we want to flesh it out. The first episode, like I said, was getting that kind of getting the layout of the land, getting things set up for the future. But this episode is all about getting things, getting the circus section, like I said, fleshed out. So we had signs. That's what a lot of this is here, adding the signs for all the things. And I try to keep them kind of not in your face too much, but they're all a little big and colorful and crazy. But I try to keep it as I don't want to say minimalist, but as unobtrusive as possible. Not big sticking out 3D signs, but kind of the smaller ones. And then because you center them on stuff. Oh yeah, that one did not want to cooperate. Did not want to go in the right place for some reason. It's like its center was like half a tile behind it. It was kind of weird, but we made it work. Anyway, yeah, all these signs wanted to be kind of unobtrusive and get them in so that I could get them in. Because, hey, why not have signs? It seems like the game at this point has gotten fairly stable for me. I don't know what's going on with. I think there's just like enough elements in it now that it's happy. Here I am looking at awnings, but I ended up not going with any. But I knew this area would need more light, so we're gonna add these lanterns. We're gonna use a lot of these hanging lanterns. I think that's what they're called. Throughout this section of the park, because to me they're the one that looks kind of like, string some lights up for the circus. What do we use? And we use something like this. And yeah, they ended up going up higher, and I think it looks pretty nice. This episode is about adding a lot of light to the area. Sorry, it's a little boring. That's what it is, but that's what it is. Initially, I had them hung to where they were just like resting on the wall, and I was kind of like, okay, that's cool. But then there's those gaps in the middle. What do I do with that? And here I am searching for the piece. Where was it? I think there we go. I found it. And we start putting them on. They're little bracket pieces. I think there's some sort of bracket like that. And they're just enough to bridge the gap between the ropes for the lanterns. And after I placed all of them on both sides, which is going to come up in just a moment, then I realized, hey, wait, if we have those, they're sticking out a good, foot? Why not hang the lanterns out a foot? It'll help spread the light, and it'll just help make things look a little better instead of having them just like resting. There they go. See, just scooching them out along those little things. And I think that helps kind of make it look like, okay, these are supposed to be here. Kind of. They're in a rush, but they're supposed to be here. Oh yeah, and here I am. I was just, wait, can I recolor? I can recolor the roof tiles too. Oh boy. So much customization. So that way they match up with that. And because I wasn't sure what, quote, white I'd use, I went and copy pasted the same colors across. Oh. Game must have crashed there though. And now again, more lighting. I was trying to figure out, what do I do? Tiki torches? No. Again, we want to end up with these string lights all over the place because they work, like I said, they bridge across paths like there, and also because they just provide a lot of light, and they look like something I would see at a circus. So I would think I would see at a circus. Anyway, most of this episode, like I said, is about lighting. From what I've played of Planet Coaster, until really this park, I've toyed around a little bit in Sandbox to play with some of the coasters and whatnot, but I've played it in, in the career mode. And there, I just do it kind of a bare bones approach, just enough to get things done, just enough to beat the level. I didn't do a whole lot of scenery, even the levels where it required a lot of scenery to beat the level, required a level of scenery for the park. What did I do? Oh yeah, I went to the workshop, found scenery pieces that fit that theme. Like I think it was one of these science fiction theme parks where it had the crashed spaceship in it. And instead of like building a bunch of stuff on my own, I went to the workshop, found a bunch of pre-built spaceships, and plopped those down because that was a bit easier, and it raised the level. So I knew I was gonna have to get into the detailed minutia of plopping things at some point. And I enjoy it a lot more than I thought I would. It's a lot of fun. I thought it would be, I don't know, just tedious and boring. And at times it can be. And sometimes things, like right now, things don't always fit where you want them to. But it actually, it really does. It brings the park to life. It brings your creation to, well, my creation. It brings the creation to life. It really adds that ambiance. Well, the lights do. The lights certainly add the ambiance, and it looks really nice. Here I'm playing with what lights to put in there. I decided, you know what? The carousel's a little bit of a nicer thing. It's a little more built, so we can go ahead and give it some nicer lanterns instead of something that, whoa, that's like those haphazard other lanterns. I just kept bouncing into the walls, and the camera goes all crazy. We keep going with these lanterns here, a little bit repetitive, but I'm still kind of getting used to the controls. It took a bit the controls are fairly simple, but it took a while to realize, like, okay, so they move in these 3 axes, and I'm getting better at it just right there to move them along the two lateral axes to get them to match up to the diagonal place that I wanted. And then I came in here and realized, whoa, it's pitch black in here. Totally dark in here, and the guests are in the darkness for the queue. That's not good. So we stick, again, more of these lanterns in here because, hey, why not? And they fit nicely in the queue. It works out pretty well. Ooh, there we go. And it provides lots and lots of light and ambiance to this ride. And then I start playing with something I hadn't even touched yet. Whoa, there's the wall. And again, I started playing with something I hadn't really touched on yet, is these spotlights, because I wanted to light up this room at least a bit more and light up the ride. And I think when it's done, I have about 6 or 8 lights in here. I think 6, 2 pointed at the ride and 4 pointed at the walls, or something like that. But it really adds to the what I think of as the circus ambiance for this ride and this little building here. There we go. Struggling to get it in place. I'm pointing it at the ride. Yeah, and that lights the ride up nicely. And then another one. Okay, so I have like 9 lights in here, or 7, something like that. Then the next thing I do is I tuck them away in the corners here so that they shine across the walls. And like I said, I think that really, there it is. It really kind of enhances the circus ambiance. And I eventually, at the end of this episode, go back and replace those curved walls on the outside with the straight walls. The original diagram, or the original, concept map shows a curved circus tent, but obviously we can't really achieve that quite the way I would like to. And have roof pieces that kind of make sense. Yeah, because any of the curved roof pieces are something else. Anyway, so that's lighting there. And here we jump in to work on the Auto Lunas, or Luna Autos, whatever they're called, their building. And I had actually just a poof burst of inspiration as I was starting this, and I figured, you know what, make it out of wood. It's going to look like an auto shop or an auto depot or something like that. So I used the wood batten, I think, and used these portals, and they turn out really nice. I ended up tweaking that queue across because I'm looking at it right now going, but I move it and it's okay. Things are okay. But I used these, and I really think, I know they're like a Western piece, but they remind me of something that they have in Cars Land at Disney California Adventure. I think it's the Radiator Springs Curios shop, where it's just like a couple of tiered levels like that kind of climb up like that. And it looks kind of Western. It is Western inspired, but it's supposed to be like an old. The story in my head for this is that when they went to build this park, there was this little auto depot here, and they decided to keep that building and then build upon it. And that's something that Disney did a few times with a few things at Disneyland in reality once you came to build the park. There's one building they even saved recently that was set where Star Wars Land is going. I think it's the Dolly House. They actually saved that and moved it backstage. You can actually see it now from Ball Road. It's in a parking lot by a parking structure back there. It's kind of neat. Anyway, I really like the way this building turned out. I think it looks really cool. And this building here is really where, I don't want to say I hit my stride, but this is really where I got into the detailing and like I said, the minutia and all those little things that make a ride building pop. We get into windows, we get into lights inside, and all those fun things. And I'm not, I self-proclaimed, whatever. I am not a Silverette. I'm not that good. I'm not, or even what's his name? Conflict Nerd Dylan, I'm not that good. I haven't gotten to the point yet to where I'm like, double stacking windows or doing crazy weird angle things. I'm pretty much using the parts more or less as they are, kind of sort of stock. But, here I did like these barn doors. I thought that was kind of a neat touch to show that there the doors go. And I think at this point I stopped to ponder what to do. How do I want to, how do I want to dress this up? I was thinking of putting I tried to put in this like stovepipe here, and then I was looking for the smoke effects, but the effect module, I don't know what you would call it, it's too big, it doesn't fit. Even if you sink it down, it just sticks out. It looks like a big crazy purple looking thing. So I was like, nope, never mind, we'll just leave it there. That's kind of a dummy thing. And I let the game play again, and because I deleted the queue and closed the ride, they all got dumped out at the exit. Oh yeah, and here I started searching the not the workshop, but just the pre-built things, and I was like, oh, well, that's kind of fairgroundsy with the tents, and sure, there could be some archery things. And here's another one that I thought was like, oh yeah, this is cute. This is like a little country fair circus display thing. Oh, and here I had to go in and start managing my maintenance, my staff. A lot of my vendors, again, were unhappy, so I'm like, all right, let's just train everybody and bump their pay up to 600. And I think I'm going to have to just keep training everybody. Some of them are okay because they're busy. Some of them are not that busy. Like the information booths, they're really only there to sell priority passes. They don't really serve any other purpose, I don't think. I mean, I'd have to look at it again to see if they offer maps or anything else like that, or umbrellas, like in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. But those vendors can get very bored very easily and get very discouraged very easily, and they can end up leaving very easily, which is lame. So here I go through there, and you can see all the bars all turning green because everybody is getting lots and lots of money. And then I trained my one mechanic, I think, so that he's better at getting paid lots and lots of money. Like I put him at like $1,000. And there we go. The queue is full. But yeah, I kind of enjoy the tents there. I think they add to the fair ambiance. And here I am looking through at the last few things. And yeah, I tucked this one in just in here because that was kind of a dead spot. And ignore the flames. I'm sorry, not ignore the flames, but the flames get moved so that they're off the path. No one will burn themselves inside my park. I was just double checking. Is there anything else? Oh, nope. Nothing that would fit here. Anything else is a little too fantasy. And I go through later and I delete like the swords and shields and things that make it like very fantasy looking. And here I'm looking at the ride. Oh yeah, I named it Oswald's Service Shop or auto service, something like that. At DCA, at Disney California, we have Oswald's filling station, Oswald's gas station down at the very front on Buena Vista Street. So I figured I'd pay homage to Oswald, and here I am playing with colors and text and things. Oswald. But he was Walt Disney's first creation before Mickey Mouse, and then legal things, he lost the rights, actually never had the rights, but we got him back, or Disney got him back a few years ago. Traded him for a sportscaster, I believe. But that's my little nod to Oswald. We'll probably have a Mickey Mouse thing somewhere else, because again, this park would have been built in the 40s or 50s. Mickey was alive. Mickey was alive. Mickey was around then, and we would have seen him. So we like try to do that. Oh yeah, the coaster doors. Here I am just looking at a lot of the props. This is where I really start getting into all the little bits and all the bobs. I was looking for like barrels, and instead I find, what do I find? I find like rope. Where'd it go? It's there somewhere. Yeah, I find these like giant spools of rope. I'm like, oh, that's cool for like a like a warehouse shop looking place. That's awesome. And I'm just trying to fill this up with as much appropriate stuff as I can. Oop, and then I get stuck on the roof. And again, there we go. Come on. Use the advanced move tools. I am smart. I can manipulate scenery pieces. There we go. Okay. And I'm just looking at all the bits and bobs we have, and I really flesh out this queue, and I get the queue scenery rating up to 100% because I got so much. I'm kind of using this. I mean, we'll probably see a lot of these same pieces over at the train depot as far as the luggage and things. But I figured, like, okay, so Oswald's, maybe it's like I mean, their equivalent in the 30s and 40s of like a rental car type place. But it could also be like a shipping place, or maybe they have service trucks that automotive things. And then here I was like, you know what? Let's do a teeny lumber yard. So I do a pyramid stack of lumber just to kind of make things, little more interesting. Yeah. Then I look at the other lumber. I'm like, they're halvesies. Nah. And we continue looking at the queue here. I think that might be the extent of it. There might be one or two other things I discover and pop in there. Here, I think I'm going, yes, doing lighting inside, because who doesn't like lights? And just spread them across so that the queue is nice and lit up. And I think I put two more over, yeah, over on the exit side. Whoa. Yes. And over across, yep, and then spread on there. And then I go through and I think, oh, yes, I put in lamps, the big area lamps under here to light up the roadway. Well, really light up the tunnel. It's weird. It doesn't light up the road. It makes the road, like, darker. I think the road's supposed to be gray, but when you light it up like this, it actually becomes, like, black and reflective and glossy. There, see? It's kind of weird that it does that. I don't know. I don't know if that's like a glitch or if that's the way it's supposed to be, but I think it's a little odd. But it's okay. It works out. It's not the end of the world. Woo. Oh yeah, I had to switch to free mode camera for a little bit there, and it was kind of odd. And then I made a discovery that I made a lamp from scratch, and you'll see me plop a bunch of them right now. Later on, I realized, see how the mouse and the controls are down there? And we see the one lamp up in the top left there? That's because there's another ramp way down to the bottom right that's off camera that I didn't realize that I'd attached there. You can see one that it's just in the bottom corner there. It's got that square bit to it. I didn't even notice it. But those two lamps, two different styles that I made, they're both attached and they're both moving around. That's why it was kind of funky to control, and I ended up fixing it later. Here I'm looking. You have staff that are vendors and staff that are mechanics and janitors, but you don't have any control over the staff operating the rides, which I know we're constantly comparing this to Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 in a lot of ways, but in that game, you could train them. And I think they would dispatch a little quicker. I'm not entirely sure, but I think it would help. Oh, and here we're back to stringing up lights. We do put a big string of these, the paper lanterns, whatever they are, around the carousel, which actually, this is called a Venetian carousel, and that's partly correct, I guess. It's Venetian, sure, but I believe there's carousels and there's merry-go-rounds, and I could have this backwards, but I believe that carousels are technically only with horses, whereas merry-go-rounds have other things. I could have that backwards, but I'm pretty sure a merry-go-round has the one with all the other things. I mean, maybe this qualifies because there's not other animals, but there's other things, like there's a plane, there's a hot air balloon, but I think all the animals might be horses. I don't know. I'll have to look closer at that now. At the end, there's a cinematic shot of it closer up, and I'm looking just now at it. Yeah, that looks like it's all horses. So maybe that qualifies as a carousel because it only has horses. I'm not sure. Anyway, we got those lanterns up, and now we're going to go through, like I mentioned earlier, and delete those walls. And this was kind of like, how does it look? I don't know. And in the end, I think it looks better. I think having those curved walls, well, it looked circus tent-ish. They didn't match. But now I think that really cinches the deal in making it look like a good and valid circus tent. And we just adjusting the lighting here so that were all tucked away in the corner as much as possible, and still doing their wash across the walls. That one was already there, and then this one here just tucks away just a little bit more. And then this next section, it jumps into a real time because I wanted to focus and talk a little more about this and give myself a little more time. Here we're going to put something around the carousel that is very, very important to Disneyland and to Walt Disney. It's part of the reason that Disneyland was created, why this park could have been created. He was sitting on a picnic bench, or a park bench, watching his girls go on the carousel in Griffith Park in Los Angeles. And that's where he got the idea that, something should be built where children and their parents can enjoy these things together. And that's where he came up with the idea for, well, again, initially, quote, this park, and what we ended up with, Disneyland. So I wanted to put these benches in around the carousel as a big nod to that and to Walt Disney. I believe they still have, quote, the original park bench. It's green at Disneyland. in the Abe Lincoln Theater, or just the entrance to it, is roped off. You can't sit on it, but it's there. And I actually tried to color these. I wanted to color these green, but there is no option to color them. They just stay brown. But yeah, all those nice park benches around the carousel is kind of my nod to Mr. Walt Disney, the big boss man himself. Yeah, and I'm really happy to get those in. I think this part of the park has come along really nicely. There might be one or two things I tweak. I'll add some more trees and things. But for now, I'm pretty happy with it. And with that, I'll leave you with some POV shots, some cinematic shots. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. If you like, hit subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, pass the word. I will catch you later.
Rock the bells, just the moon. It's a troop of merry men.